filter change or just maintenance on the lawnmower, because it's spring, you do this in the fall before you put it away, you're going to want to have something to catch your oil in. You're going to want a new air filter if you need it. Check the old one. You might be able to clean the old one and get your oil filter ready. And you can't do anything without oil.
What kind of oil?
It's just regular oil. Regular oil is like 10W30, 10W40, 10W50.
Synthetic or?
No, synthetic is expensive and it's synthetic. That's conventional, and conventional's fine. And of course a funnel.
Funnel?
To put the oil in. And I think that's everything you need.
All right, let's get started.
Here's a question, do you check the oil with the cap screwed in?
What do you say?
Read that. Read the dipstick.
I can't read it. Full is there.
Oh, can you read it now?
For correct oil level, do not turn cap on threads. So loose.
Before, so you never knew. So now they put it on here.
So you check it when it's loose.
So here's just how you check it. Don't screw it. And then, how full is it? Now, there's dirt around the outside of this that can fall into the motor. So you don't want to take a rag and go over top, turn it to get the dirt, because when you pull the rag off, all the dirt spritzes back in. So you have to go around the outside and get that dust and dirt. Don't let it fall in.
Okay.
Always look for, we're going to try to find how to drain the oil in the motor. So you always look at the bottom of the motor to see if there's a place where the oil drains out. And we don't see one.
You mean like a plug or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So let's look around this side and see if there's a plug.
What's up, buddy? I've never done this, so I have no clue.
All right, do we see a plug anywhere?
I don't even know what to look for.
Okay, check this out. See this hose?
Uh-huh.
That's your oil drain hose.
Oh,
so
goodness
this
sakes.
connects. Yeah, once you get to the other end of this, you pop this off of this clip right here. Okay. So that clip, you push the bottom of the clip in and lift the top of the clip.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
And the way it clips back is it just pushes back in.
Okay.
So now you unscrew this and you drain your oil. Okay.
Oh, so you don't need the funnel.
No, you get that funnel's for the oil filter to drain.
Okay.
So we're doing two things. We're replacing an oil filter.
I thought that was for the oil.
You notice I don't have room to put my oil collection.
You need a small one.
In here?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, see the way I left the handle intact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cute. Very nice.
Now,
That's clever.
what you don't want to do is get oil on anything. So get yourself a nice old rag. Cover anything you don't want to get oil on. Like the belt is very important that you don't get oil on it.
Oh.
And the floor. Okay.
This is quite a process.
Now, should the funnel fail, I want to make sure that this kind of will
Catches
also
it.
catch any mistakes I make.
That's smart.
And the rag there for a nice plan B. You'll need one of these. You probably don't have these.
What's that?
So, this is, you
What's
can't
that?
unscrew this with your hand. It's too
Oh.
tight. So you
So
have
that's
to,
for the filter.
yeah.
It's like a filter wrench?
That's exactly what it's called, yeah.
All right. I'm catching on.
An oil filter wrench. Okay, so.
That seems pretty tight.
It is.
And it's lefty-loosey?
Yes.
Okay. Good to
And
know.
it goes on hands tight,
Hand tight.
and it winds up this tight after the motor runs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it just gets tighter and tighter as the days go on. All right, so we're gonna get ready to catch the oil. The filter's gonna be warm because I just ran the motor. If you run it,
Oh, look at that. This is for the filter. The filter's draining as we're unscrewing the lid of the filter.
the oil filter.
The oil filter.
This is the whole oil filter.
Okay.
Okay, we'll tip it up.
And the filter resides in that little cap that you took off?
This is the filter.
Okay.
This is better when it comes to filters. So what you got to do when you put a new oil filter on is this seal right here. If you put it on dry, it'll go and not allow you to tighten it because it's dry and it's like skids. So what you do is you take some oil and you lubricate the seal. Okay, now before you put it on, you clean up your mess. And you see the way it dripped all over the frame here? So it dripped all over the frame, which I was trying to avoid. And if anything drips through, it's going to go right onto that belt. So we want to avoid having anything drip through. Okay. Now, don't let anything dirty touch in where that nice clean oil is, okay?
Okay.
All in here is super, super clean. Here's a nice super clean oil filter.
Super clean.
I'm gonna make sure
tidy.
this fits and screws on properly. And it does. You do it hand tight. You don't go crazy hand tight, but that's it. So taking it off, you saw how hard it is to take off. That's all you do is hand tight, and then it winds up being super, super hard to take off. Okay, now that's a nice little funnel there. So this little catch basin is Walmart cheap, but it's got a nice little purpose. So that's where you put the oil filter to let
But
the
then
oil
it gets
drain
all
out.
goopy on top.
Yeah, and you wipe it with a rag.
And just throw it out in the trash.
Yeah, so this has a stationary nut and an outer nut. This is a plug.
Oh.
So you gotta hold this outside and unscrew this little plug. Yes, you would not know that unless somebody told you.
So there's two nuts on this thing.
No, one nut, one plug.
Nut and one plug, okay.
So I'm gonna tip it up. So the oil doesn't come out on me. You can see I'm adjusting it to fit the outer plug. And these are just plastics, so you don't have to go crazy with tightening them. You see how loose it is. It's just very loose.
Okay.
You just make it snug. This is to
We're changing the oil.
We're draining
right
it
now. Okay. Should
Now-
we bring that?
You see I'm holding it up.
Yes.
Now, to let the oil drain out nicely without a vacuum, you make sure this is loose so it can breathe air and let it drain. So I'm going to take this and then tip this, and you can see it. See it draining out?
Yes.
Doesn't look so clean though, does it?
No. Looks like Coca-Cola.
All right, so we'll leave that like that. And now we'll clean our little plug with a clean paper. Rickety Rick, hey buddy. Get a nice clean paper towel. Clean our plug. So anything that the oil touches or goes near, you want to have clean.
Okay.
Ricky's my little helper. Okay. So it's still draining, see? Imagine like there's nothing but a bunch of residual oil that not all of it comes out because it's a flat bottom. So there's a little bit of old oil in there. So when it's done draining, I'll go ahead and just put a little bit of fresh. Just a little bit. That'll go down into the bottom and you'll see
Oh, okay.
it's already
It's like
clear.
rinsing it out.
It's rinsing it out.
Gotcha.
Just the tiniest bit.
That's
Not
smart.
to waste oil. So when it starts coming out clear, I know that I'm done. I'll just leave the funnel there. So I'm going to cap. I know that the fresh is in. I'll tip this up. Now, if anything has oil on it, the dust is going to stick to it and get all over and just build and get yucky. So you want to get all of your oil off the exterior because all the dust will stick to it and just make an awful mess. Next time you have to go change oil, you'll be cleaning all your dust off, making it harder for yourself. So that's how much oil. So that's quite a bit.
That's a lot of oil. How can your breath stinks, buddy?
Yes, it is, actually.
Are you okay, buddy?
So I'm putting the wrenches on here, even though this is plastic and almost can be hand tight. So I wait till it gets tight or snug, and I just give it a little extra.
Just a little extra.
Just a tiny bit. All right, now back in here.
I don't know, we're back in here. Oh, okay.
And you push the clip in. You push the clip till it snaps.
I don't know if I can get that.
Yeah, you got it perfect right there. Here's the clip. Here, I'll unsnap it. So you push down on the lower section of it. And then you lift on the upper section and it comes undone. See?
Okay.
Now you put it right in place and then you push on it. Alright, that's done.
How much do you know how to fill it with?
I guess. Until the dipstick reads properly.
Oh.
When you fill it with oil and you measure and you think it's filled, remember the oil filter doesn't have any oil in it. So when the engine runs, it fills the oil filter, lowering your oil level. So after you run the motor for the first time and it fills the oil filter, it's going to be low again. Check the oil again and then fill it up properly.
How long do you run the... You mean like if you're going to cut the grass, you run it? You mean? Or
Yeah,
you
you're just
let
going to run it for about 30 seconds just to get
just
the
30
everything.
seconds, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to get the oil moving through the motor.
Okay.
All right, so I know how much came out. So I'm going to guess at how
That's
much
a good
goes
point.
back in.
You know how much came out, so you can kind of guess on how much you're going to have to put in. Will it run out if you put too much in?
If you put too much oil in, like way too much, it'll blow the engine.
Oh, dear.
The engine won't be able to move properly down inside, and it'll cause things to overcompress and prematurely wear the motor up. But you have to put way too much in, like filling it to the top. Plus the dipstick will read high. That's what the dipstick's for. No oil. Okay, so it's not leaking.
Okay.
It's nice and warm, filled with oil. We check the oil again, see how low it is. Now it's going to be even lower because we just filled the filter with oil.
So it was 2 dots. Now we'll see what it is
Correct, yes.
after running it through.
Okay, make sure there's no debris on there.
This is why I need electricity in the
Okay,
thing.
how low is it now?
God, I can't even see it. It's below the line.
It's right at that lower line. So it went down 2 dots to fill the oil filter.
Wow. So we need to fill it so it's up more.
All the way up to the top line. Yeah.
All right. More oil goes in.
Clean it spotless.
So this is after we put the new oil in.
Yeah. How much oil's in there?
Not enough.
How much is it?
Can't tell.
You can't see that, Mark?
It's not full.
Okay, how full is it?
2 dots.
Correct. So it's not full. But there's enough to keep the motor lubricated for me to start it and fill the oil filter.
Okay.
Keep going. Here's the air filter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the air filter, I think you pull up from the front. So it says lift here. Can you see where it says lift there?
No.
No.
Good grief.
Okay, so go ahead and film. And it's
Wow, that's dirty.
absolutely filthy. Okay, so what it does is this sits like this. Knock a little bit of air off of here. Dirt off of there, not
Oh,
air.
it's a little twisty.
It has a twisty by hand. Okay.
Nice.
So once that loosens, you see it spins freely because it's so loose. And then you take this and you can actually twist it out. Bing.
Oh, fabulous.
Now you don't want any dirt to go down in here. A little bit
Okay.
of dust is right there, so I'm gonna take a damp paper towel and clean that out.
Just the inside rim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you see how dirty this is?
Filthy.
This has been used all season, so I will not even attempt to clean it and reuse it.
Okay. We have a new filter.
Yeah. New filter. Now, like I said before I put that in,
How'd you figure out which filter you needed? You just look at the old one?
well, you just look up by model.
Okay.
So I reach in there and I clean
Ew.
any dust that's in here, because that's dust that's going to get into your motor.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll clean that.
Okay.
Get a nice new air filter. And the air filter, you'll see it's like doesn't fit. So you got to lift the hose a little bit and then kind of, can you put the phone in here? Can you get the video in here? You kind of got to put it in there and then bend it down in, push it, and it finds its happy home. Okay. You want to make sure there's almost no gap right there.
Okay.
So you push it on, and then you tighten this up if you can. You want to tighten it pretty tight. And it'll only go so tight, so go ahead and feel that.
Okay.
Okay, and then go, you can close it if you want. All right, make sure both sides are snapped, okay? So you don't have to be a little deliberate. Okay, so you see this is your, see that right there? I'm gonna move the throttle. You see all of that move? Okay, so we're gonna take a dry lubricant, a silicone lubricant. Okay, so this is a dry silicone lubricant. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna try to get my hand in there.
You wanna come over here?
Yeah, let's trade places.
Okay.
This is almost empty, so I have to hold the can upright in order to do this.
Where are you getting it?
I can't see. Anything that rotates and spins, I mean, you just fly this shit everywhere just so it lubricates and it dries. Mm-hmm. All right, so now that's dry.
That stinks.
That's lubricated. Okay. Now, we
Look
want
at all of them.
to come over here and look at your steering column here. See these gears right here? Mm-hmm. Just inspect those, because hold the phone there, but jiggle the steering wheel. Okay.
It's blurry. I don't know why.
So that's your steering. Okay.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that doesn't have debris and stuff in it that's going to interfere with your steering. You want to make sure the teeth look good. They're getting a little worn. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing you can do. Lubricating it actually makes it, the teeth go like this. Look at, if you film, the teeth go like this. Mm-hmm. If you lubricate those teeth, they'll want to slide off of each other a little bit easier, and it'll actually wear them out.
Really?
You just want to make them clean. Yeah, you want to make them clean.
Oh, so you don't want to lubricate them?
Not really, because what does lubrication do? It attracts dirt, unless it's dry lubrication, which you're using. All right, so, okay, let's turn the steering wheel and look at what we have here. A grease fitting. Okay. We're going to put grease in it, and the grease is going to come out of the bottom or the top or both, so we put grease in it until grease comes out.
God, how do you know which fittings are a grease fitting or not?
These are called Zerk fittings, and you just have to find them. So here's a grease gun.
So do you find them just because they're greasy?
Let me see if I can get grease to come out. Okay, I get grease to come out to push any dirt that may have accumulated in there. And then I wipe that off. Now I know that there's no dirt in here. I've wiped the Zerk fitting off. You don't want to push dirt in there. So we push that on. We give it a couple of squeezes, and this grease gun is usually out of grease. So I'll use another grease gun and do the same thing.
How do you know where the grease fittings are?
You gotta use your manual. I'm gonna do the same thing with this grease gun, okay? So, see, I'll squeeze the handle back over here. To a little grease.
Squeeze a little out so we get all the gunk off.
Yeah, so all the dust collects on there.
Accumulation.
Pop that on.
Pop it on the grease fitting.
And then we'll squeeze it.
Squeeze it till
You'll hear moisture come out and stuff.
Ew, it's dripping.
Right. Caught it, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Whoa. And a little bit got on the tire, so let's get that off of there. Ricky's the inspector. He's like, oh, if you're greasing something, I gotta make sure you do it right.
Right, Ricky? Are we doing a good job, buddy? No.
No. If there's one on this side, we know there's one on the other side. So I get the excess grease off of the fitting because dust and dirt's just going to collect on it and make a big old mess on you. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the other side and do the other side. Would you like to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, you saw what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you take the grease the grease gun, and you put it on the fitting is on a shaft. This shaft is filled with grease, or it's supposed to be. That's what the whole tire spins on, and you want to fill the shaft with grease. You know it's filled when the top and bottom of the shaft starts oozing out grease. So you're going to look for grease at the bottom of the shaft and the top of the shaft. And we just filled this, and grease oozed out at the bottom, so we know the shaft is full.
How does it get filled?
Well, you push.
Because there's a ball bearing there and it pushes in?
There's a hole in the middle of this it's what's called Zerk fitting that has a ball bearing. The grease will push that ball bearing in. You see the way a little bit of grease just came out when I pushed the ball bearing in?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I can get a closer pickup.
Yeah, so that little tiny ball bearing. So when you push this on, the grease pushes that ball bearing in and goes into the hole and fills this shaft.
Ah.
So anything that moves on a machine, a big thing that moves like this, will you typically have a grease fitting. So we look for anything else that moves, that's big. The steering shaft is big and it moves, but it doesn't have a grease fitting. And it shouldn't, because dirt collects on grease, and that's open to the air, so it's not going to have a grease fitting. So I think the only grease fittings you'll have on this are here, and you might have one on actual hubs of the wheels. So you see the way I'm searching here? I see grease. You see my finger?
Yeah.
I see grease, but I don't feel a grease fitting. And I don't see
Probably have to
one.
look at the manual.
Well, no, okay, come over here and look at this. See this? I wonder if I pop that off, if there's a grease fitting under there.
Oh, could be hidden, huh?
Yes.
Good to know.
Okay, you see the way it's greased?
Yes.
But there's no grease fitting? So this just slides off and on, and you put grease on manually.
Oh, just on the top?
Yeah, well, on the shaft itself.
You mean around that?
When you pop the whole wheel off, the shaft is going to be there. You put grease on the shaft and slide the wheel back on.
It's not something you do as maintenance unless you're replacing the tire?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, you can take the tire off and grease it if you want.
Hey, Ricky.
All right, now, the only other thing I'm going to look for on here is other things that need lubrication. So this is your steering shaft.
And this is the dry lubrication again?
Yeah, it's dry lubrication silicone. So there's a ball bearing in here. See the way I can wiggle this up and down?
Yeah.
I'll squirt the lubrication in there. And on the other end of it is the same thing. So you don't want dirt to get in these areas because it's like sandpaper. It'll grind and wear out the joint. Okay. So when you turn the steering wheel, it pushes the steering. When you turn the steering wheel, it turns the wheels. And you see that shaft move. We're gonna do the other side. Look, see if there's one over there too. So. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is preventive maintenance on electrical clips. Oh. I'm going to disconnect the electrical clip, and these corrode just from salty air or a corrosive environment. So what you do is you get dielectric grease. Okay, see the way it says dielectric?
Yes.
Dielectric means it does not conduct electricity.
Oh.
So you put that on all of your electrical fittings here. I squish it into the hole. Okay. And what it does is it coats the metal with the grease and prevents it from getting corroded. Okay.
Scored it right in the hole, huh?
Okay, and then we'll take these fittings off if we can. See the way they're corroded?
Uh-huh.
Just wipe them off. And then what I'll do, so even the dirt has corrosion characteristics, has salt in it, minerals, and then the moisture hits it. So I'll take this grease and I'll shove it in each one of these holes. You shove in your meatballs. Godfather reference. Okay. Now, here's what trivia question for you. Did this red one come off the top or the bottom? Did these come off the top or the bottom? Ooh, got to pay attention to how you take things off. Okay, always pay attention.
That's a good one. Good pointer.
Make sure it snaps. It's all the way on. Okay, so there's another connection right here. I'm only going to pull these apart if they're willing to come apart. If they're not willing to come apart, that means there is a good connection and I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, they're not coming apart. Just leave well enough alone. Okay.
Good?
That is it. Tell me where it says the correct tire pressure.
Oh.
Can you find it?
No.
Okay.
14 psi.
Okay, what's it say before that?
Inflate to.
Okay, go ahead.
That's it.
What's that magic word right there?
Max.
Max. Means you don't have to go that high if you don't want to.
This says 30 psi max.
Where?
Inside.
Okay, yeah, that's for the metal.
What is the metal doing inflating?
Well, the the tire holds the air and the metal rim holds the air, but there's a tube. Maybe if the tube puts too much pressure on the rim, it'll pop the rim open. You know what I mean?
So I know, but do you go 30 or 40? I mean...
Well, the tire. You don't want to go more than what 14. The tire says.
Okay.
Ever. So on here, that's about 12. You see how you could barely see there's a 10 and then there's one more line? That's 12.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we've changed the oil. We changed the oil filter. We greased it and we lubricated with dry lube anything that is going to get dust around it. And then we put dielectric grease on all the electrical fittings so that they last. There's a few other fittings that you could do in your spare time, but I'm not going to do them.